Hello everyone, this is a continuation lesson for looping or iteration in C++. This video is all about for loop. For loop is similar to a while loop but streamlines the source code. The for loop state defines the start and end point as well as the increment for each iteration. Okay, as you can see on the syntax on the PowerPoint presentation, the for loop inside of this open close parenthesis, you can see directly where the loop starts. It is int num1 is equal to 0. You can also see where it stops, num is less than 10, and you can see also where the iteration or the increment of this loop. Okay, so it's similar. You can state here for with open close parenthesis, but in for loop we have three condition to supply in order that for loop will execute. Okay, the first is the variable that holds the initial value, okay, followed by a semicolon that determines that this is a separator. This one is the condition. Comparing it to the while loop, in this one you only have the condition, but for loop inside of this left and right parenthesis has three arguments. Okay, first argument is the defines the start of the loop. The second is the condition where to end the loop, as well as the increment of the iteration. We can use increment or decrement. So inside of this left brace and right brace is automatically the things that will execute if the condition is true. So based on this example syntax, we can output 0 to 9. Okay, why? Because we declare on the first argument, we declare int variable num with an integer data type has a initial value of 0. Now we know that num has a value of 0, so 0 is less than 10. Then this is now the endpoint or the condition. Then the third one is we increment num. Okay, so what will happen when this condition is true? Num 0 is less than 10, so that is true. It will execute, which is print num. So what is the current value of num is 0, so 0. Then another one, it will test the condition because first loop adds 1 because of this increment. So 1 is less than 10, that is true again. It will output, okay, before outputting plus 1 again, then output. So we have 1 to output. The second loop, the value of num is equal to 2. Okay, sorry, the third loop. So the third loop will have the value of num is 2, and then 2 is less than 10. So add another one, okay, another one when the loop will end, because this is post increment. So by the way, going back to the topic about arithmetic operators, there are two kinds of increment. We have pre-increment and post-increment. When we say post-increment, it will add when after the execution. When you say pre-increment, it automatically add before the expression. So we will try it in the coding section. I will give you an example on the post and the pre-increment and post and pre-decrement. Okay, so going back, so we have num2, num has a value of 2, so 2 is less than 10. If that is true, it will add 1 after the loop, so it output cout num1, so it has the value of 2. Then once the loop is okay, it will add the 1 here on the post increment, so we have the value of num is 3, so 3 is less than 10. Okay, add 1 after the loop, so output now the num, which is 3. Now what happened? Second loop, the value of num is 4 because we add 1, 3 plus 1, so 4 less than 10, so it is true. Add 1 after the loop, output 4. Okay, once the loop is finished, num is now equal to 4. 4 is less than 10. Okay, that is true. Add 1 after. Output 4. Okay, then num is has a value of 5. 5 is less than 10. Okay, add 1 later after the loop. Output num that we have 5. Okay, then now 6 is less than 10. That is true. Add 1. Okay, output num which is 6. We have this one. Now on the 8th loop, we have 7 is less than. So again, true. Num1, add 1 later. Output the value of num, which is 7. Then, we have 8 is less than 10. That is true. Then, we have add 1 later. Output num1, which is 8. Okay, we have now num is equal to 9. 9 is less than 10. That is true. Add 1 later. Okay, see out num1, which is 9. Okay, 9 plus 1 because we have later, so you have 10. 10 is less than 10. This is now false. Then it will not add anymore. It will end. So it will not output here. So that is the logic behind the syntax. So I will be going to give you a demo, an example of this for loop. This is how you are going to write for loop in C++. To start with, you write for the keyword and have open close parentheses to put our argument. Again, we have three arguments. First is where the loop starts. So for example, um, we have a variable int num is equal to 0. The loop starts. Second is the condition where the loop ends. Okay, so we need to loop it only by 10. So we have num1 is less than 10. Okay, so that is the condition. And the third argument is to have the iteration or the loop. So we have the increment. We need to increment the variable num. So we have num plus plus. Okay, so we have supplied the three arguments needed in a for loop. First, where does the loop start? Then the second is the condition where the loop ends. The third one is the iteration. Then we will output the value of num, cout num. Okay, so to run, we can see this output. Sorry, we forgot to put this symbol. Okay, okay, I forgot. That's it. We are not using cin, cout. Okay, so we have here the output 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I already explained it to you why it happens like that. That we don't have 10 because when the num variable has a value of 9, so 9 is less than 10, that is still okay. But on the next loop of that, we have now the value of num is equal to 10, so we have 10 is less than 10, so that is now false. The loop will not execute because the condition is now false. If you want to start with 1 and end with 10, you can do is just to change a bit on your code. You can have start by 1, and you can also um, change this one to equal sign. You can also adjust 11. Your code must be simple and readable for you, so you can also use equal sign. Okay, so what happened when you run it? Okay, you can see you can have start the loop from 1 then to 10. Okay, so actually that is 10. So we can also make it one row by just adding an end line to each loop. So you can have end line for have and you can output every line. Every loop has a line. So that is a 1, then output end line, followed by 2 to make it much more nicer. What that I give you example for the while loop, I will be using it for the for loop for you to see the similarity that what can you do in while loop you can also use for the for loop. We will create addition table, multiplication table, subtraction table, and division table in for loop. We achieved that one using while loop on the other video, so we will try to use it on for loop. To start with, we will let the user input a number first. So we have a variable number, okay, and we output a prompt. The user enter a number, okay, and then cin to store the inputted number to variable num. Write the syntax for, okay, and the first argument we have int I is equal to 0, okay, and then we start with 0. We need the loop to make it up to 10, so it will be x is less than or equal to 10, and that is the second argument, which is the condition of our loop, because we want our loop to repeat 10 times. So we have to iterate the variable x by doing that. Arguments of the for loop. We're gonna create first addition table. So first we output the variable x on the loop. Then we will output also the inputted number, and between of these two we will add the addition sign, or the arithmetic sign for addition, a symbol or sign. So we will add the arithmetic symbol of addition in between the variable x and the variable num for only uh, display purposes. Then also we can have to output an equal sign. Okay, now the answer. This is now the actual arithmetic operation. We will add um, open close parenthesis and variable x plus now. So we use open close parenthesis to make it the arithmetic operation. Okay, and we have end line. We will run the program if it's running correctly. We'll close the previous running program. So we run it. So the user enter number. So we will try to input a 2. So we have 0. So this is on the left is on the loop. Okay, so it's 0 until 10. So it's 0 plus 2. So we have 2. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So everything. Okay, 2 plus 2 equals 4. 3 times 2 equals 5. So our addition table for variable our addition table for the inputted value 2 is correct. Okay, so next thing is we're going to create the subtraction table. By adding on only a few on our loop, so we can remove this one and change it to /t/t for tab, and we will just copy and paste these codes for us to make it faster. Still the same, but we will change the symbol of the subtraction. Okay, we'll use the subtraction equal sign is the same. Now this one for the actual arithmetic operation we will change also. That is for the subtraction, and then we have to copy again, and we will use it for multiplication. We will change that one again for multiplication, and also in here for the actual arithmetic operation, which is this one. Okay, we will use the x here. Okay, much more nicer to look at. Okay, for the graph, for the display. Then the last one for the division. So we have, because last time we have the problem dividing any number to zero. So what we have here is we let the loop first. So that is why we have zero first before dividing any number. So we cannot get any error here. That is our lesson for the previous video. So here we have division symbol. We also have this one on the arithmetic operation. Okay, instead of slash t, I'll be using n line for the last. Okay, so we have here four columns. The first column is for the addition table. Second column is for the subtraction table. The third column is for the for the division table. Oh, sorry. The third column is on the multiplication table, and also for the last column is for the division table. So we'll let us run the program to see if that is running correctly. Run. So we let the user enter any number. So we will try again. I will try 5. So we have here four columns. So we have addition. Okay, we can check it. Okay, you can see also in your screen if we can see if that is correct. Okay. Okay, then for subtraction, you can see also. For multiplication, you can see also that is correct from 0 to 10. And also division. You know the reason why there why all zero, because we are using integer. We don't have a floating point numbers to calculate the point. Okay, since we are using the integer data type. So I guess this is the program, the first program that I gave you on the while loop. Okay, there is something lacking is the label of every column. So let us do that one. Outside of the for loop, we can output again. Okay, add. Okay, slash. Okay, slash t. We have um sub slash t. We have multiplication slash t, and we have div. So no need for slash t for that. That is the last one. And line. Run it again to see the column label. We can choose another number 8. You can see that's good already. So next is another program that uses for loop. Before we proceed to another program, let me show you how we can control and manipulate a loop. Okay? So first we will use for loop, then next time while loop. Okay, so usually we control the loop by the condition. Okay, by also the increment. So for this example, we have a for loop that loops 10 times because of our condition that first we have initial value of variable x equal to 1. So the loop would starts at 1, and the condition is x is less than or equal to 10. If the condition always true, then it always increment the value of x. Then every time that condition is true, then this block of codes or this code will execute. So usually this is the things that we do because the logic is very easy. Let us try first run the program. So the program will output like this. Sorry, it is C out. Okay. So the program will look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Now, what if we want the program to output only 5 numbers, and each number, it starts with 10, it starts with 2, followed by 4, followed by 6, followed by 8, and followed by 10. So the last number is 10. So it will loop 5 times, but the output is by 2. So to do that, we occasionally use increment to add the value of the initial value. So to change that matter, we will not use the increment, but we will use this one, x is equal to x plus 2. We are telling that whatever the value of x, so now you have here the variable x, now whatever the value plus 2. So what happens when you run it, it now starts with 1 because the initial value of x is 1. So 1, so 1 is less than is equal to 10. So that is true. So what happened here, instead of incrementing it by adding 1, we add 2, we control, and we manipulate the nature of the loop. Okay, so now instead of adding 1, we have 2. Okay, so that is now it will add after the loop. So now the value of x is equal to 1, so it outputs 1. The second loop, 1 plus 2 is now 3. So now the value of 3 is, the value of x is 3. So now 3 is less than or equal to 10. That is true. Okay, it will add 2 again on the loop after the loop will execute. So now the output the value of x, which is 3. Okay, this is 1. Now the third loop, 3 plus 2 because of this one. So the value of x is 5. So 5 is less than 10. So it's the same thing what we did on the previous example. So what is the difference? Because of the controlling here. Instead of incrementing, we can choose what number we will add or we will subtract. So for this in case, we will just add a number. So by our first aim is to start with 2 and end with 5, end with 10. So instead of um, using 1, we can use 2 so that when we run it, so that the program will start at 2. Okay, on the first loop, second loop it's add by 2, so 4. Third loop will add by 2 again, that is 6. Fourth loop add by 2 equals 8 and 10. So we can control and manipulate programs. For example, if the problem will just ask you to print numbers from 2 to 0 to 1000 by 5, then you can use this technique. So you want to do that from 0 to 1000 by 5, then you can change it by 0. You change it by 1000. Now by 5, instead of this one, you have 5. So it will print, the program will run the way you will exactly want it to be. So you say it starts with 0, next is 5, and also up to 1000. Okay, you can do whatever you want because you can now control the loop. Okay, so basically going back to the basic, basically increment is just like this. This is the long way to say it, but this is how the increment works. X is equal to x plus 1. So when we run that one, it starts with 0 to 1000 by 1. As you can see here, it's very long process because it is outputting numbers from 0 to 1000. As you can see the intervals 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can see it. So basically, this is just the long way of adding 1 in the loop. To make it short, we use x plus plus. So x plus plus or x is equal to x plus 1 is the same. So now, if you want to add intervals like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, instead of using x plus plus, because that is just x is equal to x plus 1, you have to change it to the long way. So x is equal to x plus, for example, 10. So you are now outputting 0 to 1000 by 10. So you can manipulate the loop by just using, okay, sorry for that, we have a wrong one. X is equal to x, so that means it is x is equal to plus. Okay, run. Okay, you can have that one also. We can also use that on while loop. Okay, so to do that, we can have declare a variable y is equal to 0, for example. While loop is equal to y is less than 1000. So we have here say out y and line. So we can here, instead of having y plus plus, right, for the increment, for example, we want to print 0 to 1000 by 20. You can do that one. Y is equal to y plus 20. Run it. Okay, we have a problem. What is the problem? See out and line. Okay. Sorry, we forgot another C. That one, less than. And before that, we will comment it here. We will comment this section for not to execute. We let only the while loop will execute. Okay, so that's it. That is how we will do. So the syntax is correct. So let us run it. So as you can see here, it starts with 0 up to, yeah, up to 1000, but still by 20. So probably will not go to 1 to 1000. Oh yeah, we forgot. We still go to 1000, but we want to change it with equal sign. Okay, so run it. So we can have that program 0 to 20, 40. So we have 20 interval of our loop. Okay, we can also change it. Instead of starting with 0, we can also start with 1000 or higher number until it will make it much lower by using decrement. So we will change the logic. So we can put here 1000, and we can also change the logic. So y, so it will now go to 0. So if y is 1000, that is greater and equal to 0. So if y is greater than or equal to 0, so it's still the same output y, but instead of using the plus sign, we have minus sign. So meaning that is decrement. So from bigger number to lower number. So a while ago we start with 0 to 1000. Right now we are starting 1000 to 0. Let's run the program. So as we can see here at the top, we have 1000 instead of 0, and going down we have 0. So from higher number to lower number. So we can do that also in for loop. Okay, let us comment down here this code. Um, we can also do that one. Comment that one. So remove the comment. Okay, so instead of having that 0, so it's 1000. And it will make it 0. So it changed the logic here. So it's now x is greater than or equal to 0. Now instead of that, we have subtract it by 10. So from 1000, subtract it by 10. So run the program. So we just reverse the logic. So from 1000, you can have 1000 here and up to 0. So it depends on your logic. It's how you are going to use, enjoy, and manipulate looping. So just familiarize the arithmetic operator, the condition, and if you are familiar with that thing, looping is not hard for you. So now we will now proceed to the second program. We will create a program to find the sum of the inputted numbers. Then the program will ask how many numbers will the user input. Then the program will calculate all the numbers. Okay, we already accomplished it on the while loop video. So we will also manage it here on the for loop. First, we need to declare some variables that are needed in our program. So first is integer variable number of loop. This holds how many times the user will input a number. So also we will also declare and have initial value of sum because we will calculate all the inputted numbers and add it in this program. Then we have also the inputted numbers. So we will store it on num. So let us use comma on that one and use semicolon. Okay, then output, prompt the user how many numbers to add. So cin and we have the loop. So we will store it on variable loop number. Okay, so we have to set that the number of loop is the end loop. So we will declare end loop is equal to the number of loop. Okay, then start loop is starts by 1. We can, okay, then use the for loop. Okay, since we already have initial value of the start loop, so start loop. Okay, and then we have start loop is less than or equal to end loop. Okay, and then we have start loop plus plus. Okay, and then the bracket. Okay, then what we need to do is to enter a number. um, Enter a number to add. So we will store it on variable num. Okay, then sum, okay, is equal to sum plus num. Okay, uh, this is where we let to add. Okay, since the loop will run, so we will store whatever the initial value of sum and plus the inputted number. Okay, and then we have to output it, see out, um, the sum. Okay, the sum of the number is, okay, sum and line. Okay, so this program will similar to the for the while loop. So it will ask how many numbers to add, and then after that it will ask the number. Okay, and then it will calculate all the numbers that is being inputted. Okay, let's try to run it. Okay, we have an error because we forgot to put another greater than symbol. Okay, so how many numbers to add? For example, I will 3. So enter a number. So 1, 2, 3. So after that, it will calculate. Okay, so it's the same thing for the while loop. So you need also the explanation for the loop. I will let you explain what happened on this part. So when I entered 3, okay, so what happened? Um, 3 is now stored on the number of loop. So now the number of loop we declare end loop that set that the end loop is number 3. Okay. Then we have the start loop is equal to 1. So our in our for loop, we have an initial value of 1 because of the start loop, and we have a condition that 1 is less than or equal to 3. Then you are going to increment the variable start loop. So that means 1 is less than or equal to 3. That is true. So it will have as a number. So enter a number. So when I enter 1, it will happen. It will store to num1. Oh no, sorry. It will store to num. Then what happened? We have the calculation. So we have a variable sum, which is an initial value of 0. We assign it again with sum. So it will add by itself. So sum is equal to 0 plus whatever you enter for that num. So when I enter 1, it will plus 1. Okay? And the second loop, okay, because now start loop is equal to 2. 2 is less than or equal to 3. That is now, because 3 we entered 3, that is now true again. So it add later for the increment. Enter again with number. So when I input 2, it will store again on the variable num. So what happened, it do the calculation again. We have the initial value of sum is equal to 1 because of the previous calculation because we enter 1. So we have sum is equal to 1 plus whatever the date, the date, the number inside of the variable num. So we have now instead of 2, so when we enter 2, the answer of sum is equal to 3. Now, we have now the loop is equal to 3. So 3 is less than or equal to 3. Again, that is true. Then add 1 later. So enter again a number. So when I enter 3, so what happened? We store it on variable num. So now we have the another calculation. Sum is equal to, we have the value of sum is equal to 3 because 1 plus 2 a while ago. So we have sum is equal to 3 plus whatever value of num which is now in 3. So when we enter that one, so why we end the loop? Because first, it will now the start loop is now have a value of 4. So 4 is less than equal to 3 is false. Now the loop will not execute. That is why whatever the value stored with sum, which is we have sum is equal to 6 for the last loop. So what happened outside of the loop, it will store it here on sum. So it will now change it from 0 to 6 because that is the initial value. It will output when you output in here, whatever the value of sum, it will now output it. So that is now 6. So the whatever the value of sum, it will output in here. That is what we call how we're going to accumulate um, the the series of arithmetic operation or addition in this loop. So this is the technique. Assign first the initial value of that variable and use that one in this calculation. That variable is equal to the variable itself plus the number that we're going to add. So that's it. How this logic happens. So I hope you have learned something with this for loop. So for loop and while loop is the same. It depends how you are going to use it in your program. So for me, I will use while loop in some occasion. Sometimes also I use for loop in some occasion. It depends on you. So I guess everything is wrapped up with this video. I hope you have learned something in it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. God bless everyone. Bye bye.